Welcome, everyone. My name is Steve Bennett here with Special Mix Maryland. This is the preseason tennis webinar for the fall season. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate you taking the time of your evening to join us this evening. The first slide, before we get started into the webinar this evening, this is a promotional slide, one of our fundraising opportunities that has the link there to our website, as well as Sue Jacobs, our VP of Donor Relations, information provided as well. For anyone that you may know who is looking to get rid of a car or a vehicle of that nature, they can donate that through this vehicle, through this vehicle. And the proceeds do go to the state and local programs. So we've already received a couple of donations and benefited from this. So we thought it was worth promoting and let everyone be aware of the situation as well. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and get right into the slide deck for this evening. As you did see that this webinar is being recorded, as usual, we will post it on our coaches resource page portion of the website, along with the slide decks and other information as well. So tonight, as I mentioned myself, we also have Jake Novick, our sports director and staff lead for the sport of tennis. And Jeff Abel is unable to join us this evening. He will also be working with the tennis group and the management team moving forward throughout the season. And we do also have Mike Sarnowski, our VP of Sports, joining us tonight as well. So the agenda is our pretty typical agenda that we'll go through this evening, just the welcome and some general information. Then we'll get into some deadlines throughout the season leading into the Fall Sports Festival. Go over some tennis specific information, and then open it up to any questions. If you do have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to type your question into chat. That will be monitored by myself or Jake, potentially Mike Sarnowski as well, depending on who's speaking and presenting at the time. And again, we appreciate you joining us this evening. The things we always start off with, if you haven't seen this, you must be fairly new. And the individuals I see with us have been with us for a while, so we appreciate you guys returning. But just a reminder there, before any season, practice, training session, anything starts, the athletes, unified teammates, and volunteers must have their proper certifications in place before they're able to join in a practice, training session, or anything like that. The reminders there is the medical and the CDW, or the communicable disease waiver form, is for the athletes. And then for the unified teammates and others, it's the protective behavior and CDW. There are other certifications needed for coaches and sport volunteers, and we'll get into that in a little while. We really look for you to enforce this, and we'll talk in a slide or two in a minute about checking with the individuals who have signed up for any sport leading into a season, and make sure you have all the certifications in place prior to starting any practices or training, so that you don't have to turn anyone away on the first session, and you can work with your area leadership, which we'll talk to right now with the next couple slides. Your area leadership are the people who are overseeing and in management positions for your county or area program. And, they have the access, as you do as well, coaches, through our coaches resource page, to check and see who needs certifications or whose certain paperwork or whatever may be coming expired and need to be renewed. So you can always check with your area leadership if you have any questions about anybody that's signing up or joining your team. And again, they're there to help you, and we'll show you where you can look for that information on our website for yourselves as well. As we always talk about the coaches, they have certain additional certifications that are needed, and they must meet all of those in order to be credentialed as such. One of the things that a head coach must do is, well, all coaches need to take the special coaching Special Olympics athletes course, the CSOA. In some cases, individuals who are only coaching unified sports or unified teams can take the coaching unified sports in lieu of the CSOA. But in regards to that, if for some reason an individual is looking to be a head coach and does not have the sport-specific training portion covered for a given sport, that doesn't mean that the team won't be allowed to participate leading into the state championships and the state championships throughout the season. What it does, however, mean is that that team or that group would not have a head coach in place. And basically what that means is they would not be able to file a protest on behalf of the team or any of the competitors. So again, what we're not going to do is eliminate any of the participants from competing, but we will take proper steps into what a head coach what certification allows a head coach to do, and if that's not in place, some of the ramifications of that. So again, as we talked about, where you can look for the certifications of everyone on your team and what's needed or what's expired and needs to be renewed. Here's a link to our coaches resource page that is updated through the state office pretty much on a weekly basis every Friday. Again, that's open to general public. Anybody has access to that, not just coaches, although it is designed for coaches. But that's one resource you can check regarding that, as well as working with your area leadership. Coach requirements, again, we'll have another slide or two and a grid that shows all of this. So I'm not going to go into this in great detail, but again, like I did say, the one distinction there is most head coaches and volunteer and not volunteer, but assistant coaches need the CSOA, Coaching Special Olympics Athletes course. Very rarely is there someone who only coaches a unified team, meaning a program only has unified tennis or only has a unified basketball team, things of that nature. That's where that one point can be emphasized there. So here's the grid that shows the different requirements for each individual that should be part of your team or part of your training program, etc. So the athletes, we talked about their medical form and the CDW, the unified teammates and general volunteers in the program do the volunteer application and screening process, the protective behaviors, as well as the CDW. And you get into their general sport volunteers. In addition to those things, they also need to take the concussion certification. And then the assistant coaches, like we talked about, take the CSOA course, the Coaching Special Olympics Athlete course, or potentially the Coaching Unified Sports. Then head coaches, in addition to that, have the sport-specific training. That would be obviously for tennis in this situation. And again, those are pretty much valid for 3 years. One of the things that you will see, if you haven't seen, there have been a recent change or update, if you will. We think it's going to benefit everyone in the process. The athlete's medical form has been revised a little bit in order to incorporate the CDW into the athlete medical form, so that it's all inclusive in one shot, and there's not different expiration dates for those two situations. Similarly, the volunteer background check and application also now includes the CDW. So again, that's all in one shot, if you will, and they're not having to go back and forth to look at several different pieces of paperwork and expiration dates. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. One of the things which we talked about those situations, and Greta, this may address your question. I'm not sure. If not, let us know. All the unified teammates coaches, like we talked about, have the protective behaviors and the different situations we talked about in the grid previously shown. Right now, the SO or Special Olympics Learn portal is not in place, or it's being revamped and revitalized and remanaged and upgraded, if you will. So if you go to our coaches resource page, Mike Sarnowski has made a temporary alternative method for completing those certifications. And you can see that there. That'll walk you through that. You'll click on that link provided there, and you go to application certifications and other forms sections, and there'll be some instructions there. And Mike, if you want to touch a little bit more on that.
Yeah, actually, I need to correct something you said.
Okay.
It's still, the SO Learn is still live. It's still active and such. It's going to be live until 2:00 in the morning on Thursday. And then it's going to shut down from August 1 all the way through and be relaunched on August 15th. But by Thursday morning, we will have stuff there. That includes the option for both concussion and protective behaviors for anybody under the age of 16, which we know is currently a challenge with SO Learn. We're optimistic that'll be resolved when SO Learn is launched again. on August 15th. So, but yeah, it's not, this is in anticipation of that. But it will start it'll be shut down starting on Thursday.
Yeah, same with me, Nancy. I tried today to do the protective behaviors or try to get in there so I can at least show people to do that. And no, I got error messages every single time. I did it with 2 different emails. And again, look, operator error could be possible.
Well, not from 2 of you. So well, I mean, not that it's not possible. I'll take a look at it tonight and see what's what. And if we need to implement our patch earlier, we'll do that. Thanks for letting us know.
I think I could log in because I had already had a login, but when I tried to get somebody else set up to register, it was booting you. Yeah, there was no getting into it.
Gotcha. It wasn't letting anybody new log in. Okay. Okay, good to know. Like I say, it's easy enough to implement stuff.
Same with me. I was trying to log in new people, and I don't know if it even, I've never used SO Learn. I've always used the old system. So my email address to both work and the personal one, and neither of them worked as being registered. So I tried to register and I got an error message as well.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Thanks. We'll check on that. Thank you much.
Thanks for the correction there, Mike. So regarding the deadlines, as we talked about, make sure everything's in place. And when we talk about this, everything for those who are looking to participate at the Fall Sports Festival, state championships, everything needs to be valid through October 19th of 2024. That's the date of this Fall Sports Fest for the events and sports that'll be participating with at Mount St. Mary's. The other thing I'll mention here is the deadlines that we show on this slide are the deadlines that information and paperwork, et cetera, needs to be turned into the state office. So I say that because the deadlines you see here as coaches, your area leadership may require you to get all of this in prior to these deadlines, sometimes as early as 2 weeks prior to these deadlines. So with that being said, always check with your area leadership and make sure you're meeting their deadlines so they have time to turn that paperwork and information over to the state office in a timely manner to meet the deadlines. So the training registration deadline, that is August 29th. What is a training registration deadline? Training registration deadline is all individuals within your tennis program or any sport for that matter with these deadlines associated that are helping out, are participating, are practicing, anything of that nature. Everyone needs to be in with their proper certifications in place prior to that deadline. What that also what it also means is that those individuals who meet this deadline and everything's in place do have the capability and eligibility to move on and participate in the state championships. If you do have someone who, say, moves into your area program after this deadline and wants to start with tennis and get, give it a try, or previously was a tennis player and wants to get in action, they can do so, provided everything's in place. They just won't be eligible to move on to the state championships. Okay, so hopefully that's clear there. With that being said, we know that there's situations occur here and there where you as a coach think everything's turned into your area program and they had maybe missed a form or whatever, or got lost in cyberspace when sending it to us electronically or whatever. We understand that does happen. So after that training registration deadline, we at the state office will send out information that says, here's everyone who we have paperwork for, here's ones who are still registered in their training program, but have missing forms or forms, etc., that are expired or not in our system whatsoever. So we have a little leeway there to make sure we get all of that in. That deadline is September 12th. Again, your area leadership may have that a day or two early or a week or two earlier. Again, just make sure you do your due diligence at the beginning of the season and make sure everything's in place prior to the deadlines. Then we have the competition registration deadline, and that's where all the unified teammates, the athletes, yourselves, coaches, etc., all of those have to be registered for the state championship. And then your team rosters and who they're playing with and what levels and everything need to be submitted into what events they're playing, their levels, and then the additional information needed there so that we can prepare for the state championships. That deadline is October 7th. With that, I will stop talking now. I will turn it over to Jake, our sports director and sports lead with tennis, and I will be monitoring any questions that come in through chat. Thank you very much, and over to you, Jake.
Thanks, Steve. Hello, everybody. Like Steve said, my name is Jake Novick. I'm the sports director in charge of tennis this season. And without further ado, we will continue with our presentation. So our first slide here is about qualifying competitions. It is important for all of our athletes to participate in these qualifying competitions to emulate the state level competition. For it to count as a qualifier, it must follow the following rules, not especially, if it's also an in-house qualifier. They must have appropriately trained and certified officials. They must have medical personnel, and it ideally includes 2 or more areas or counties, but some can be considered an in-house qualifier where they compete against each other. Qualifying for the state tournament, individuals must meet all training and registration regulations and deadlines. All coaches must have completed their certification, as Steve talked about before. And then they must compete in a minimum of 2 sanctioned qualifiers. One must be the required qualifier scheduled on Sunday, September 29th. Currently, this is for levels 4 and 5 based off of facility space. We are working to get required qualifiers on the books for other levels as well. Then they must compete in a minimum of 1 other competition, multi-area or single area. This would be considered your in-house. Just to note, this is a minimum. We recommend they participate in more throughout the season to get adequate practice against competing against other individuals instead of just competing against the same individuals within your same county.
Hey, Jake, real quick, you just said that the 29th is just for level 4s and 5s?
As of right now, yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
So within tennis, we offer 5 different levels. Level 1 is our individual skills competition, which is red ball, which is pictured below on the slide. Level 2 is our beginning of our match play on a 42-foot court with a red ball. Level 3 is match play on a 60-foot court with an orange ball. Level 4 is match play on a 78-foot full court with a green ball. And level 5 is match play with a 78-foot court, full court with a typical yellow tennis ball. For all levels involving match play, the following events will be offered: singles, traditional doubles, and unified doubles. For our team roster forms, coaches must complete a form that will help us know who is training in which event and much earlier in the season, and it will help us make shifts to better depth the competition at the state competition at Fall Sports Festival. This will take place of the intent form. So this is our team roster form, which I was just talking about. This was in place last year, so it should look familiar. And then on this slide is our individual rating. I'm not going to read through every one of these boxes, but please make note of this rubric as you are rating individuals as they are participating in tennis. Please note that level 1 players must still have a score for the individual skills competition, qualifying competition, submitted by the competition registration deadline to be eligible to compete at Fall Sports Festival. So now we're going to get into some rule reminders, starting with our uniforms. Proper tennis attire must be worn during competition. Tennis uniforms must be worn by all competitors. Players should wear loose-fitting gym shorts or conventional tennis shorts. For female participants, a tennis skirt is allowed. Pockets in the shorts/skirts are highly encouraged for those in match play. Please note that there's no blue jeans or denim allowed. Tennis shoes are required with they cannot have black soled shoes to mark up the court. Sweatsuits will not be allowed to be worn during competition unless needed due to weather conditions and approved by the competition director. So this was updated last year for our scoring, but we're going to continue to implement it this year. Traditional scoring for tennis will be implemented. The score will go 15, 30, 40 game. A match will consist of the following 2 out of 3 short sets. First to win 4 games by a margin of 2 games. No ad scoring. That'll be explained on the next slide. 7-point tiebreak at 4-4. 10-point match tiebreak if split sets. So the no ad scoring will be used for all match play. Next point wins at 40 all. If a unified athlete athlete serves to athlete, unified teammate serves to unified teammate. In singles and traditionals, doubles, receiver's choice. Coaches, one designated Special Olympics coach or credentialed team representative may sit on each court where the team member is playing. The coach or representative is to be off the playing surface in a chair located at the opposite post of the net from the umpire or scorekeeper. They may coach the player when the player's change ends at the end of an odd game. They may not coach after the first game of a set and not during a tiebreak. This is our tiebreaker procedure for medal placements to determine place of finish when 2 or more athletes or teams have the same final point score. The tie shall be broken as follows. We can read below. First through third is the fewest number of sets lost in all matches. Fourth place, other than 4 teams, head-to-head results. For individual scores competition, earlier in the 2010 Special Olympics, Maryland modified the ISC rules and did not align with the Special Olympics International individual skills competition rules. We added a 5-point/10-point line in the service box for ground strokes and volleys. We have reverted back to the original SOI rules, and those are in the grid down below. As Steve mentioned, we have our coaches resources page available to everybody. The link is here on this webpage, along with earlier in the slides. Those are updated weekly, and you'll find all of the following information on those web pages as well. We will be having a coaches training on Saturday, August 24th at Turf Valley Resort in Ellicott City, approximately 1 to 3 p.m. This will be led by Jeff Abel. The registration link is here on this slide. It'll also be sent out in the email tomorrow following up with this webinar. And then our tennis state championship is at Fall Sports Festival at Mount St. Mary's on October 19th, approximately 8 to 4 p.m. Those times will change based off of the schedule and how many matches we need to fit into the day. Is there any questions from anybody?
I haven't seen any questions, Jake. One of the things that I failed to mention earlier when we were talking about the coaches resource page is, I think everyone's aware, but just in case you're not, the coaches resource page, although designed for coaches, is open to general public. So anybody, family members, support personnel, athletes, teammates, anybody can go in there and check the updated information, etc. So just want to make sure everyone's clear on that. I haven't
Great, thank
seen
you, Steve.
any other questions. And I think one of the things there with the coaches training, I'm assuming Jeff may have a couple athletes there to demonstrate, but if he's unable to secure anybody or any athletes or unified teammates, we'll reach out to coaches if we need any additional personnel for that.
Just
The only other
clarifying.
thing,
Sorry.
go ahead, Greta.
No, I just wanted just clarifying. Jeff's coaches training is for them to be a head coach, not necessarily an assistant coach, correct? Or is it both?
Yeah, that would be the sports specific training.
Okay.
for the head coaches. However, the more people who go to that, the better prepared. So I wouldn't exclusively say, or I wouldn't say it's exclusively only for those looking to be a head coach. If you have other assistant coaches, it would not hurt for them to come to that training as well. It'd just be more information. And say a head coach goes down with a family emergency or something like that, then you have somebody who can step in and be a backup.
Right. No, yeah, we're gonna need some backups in Frederick County. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering just to make sure. Thank you.
Yeah, but to keep in mind, I'm not sure when you say to be an assistant coach, to be an assistant coach, well, actually to be any coach, they do need to complete the coaching Special Olympics athletes course, or coaching unified sports if they're entirely doing unified.
Yeah, and where is that again? Where's the is that on
If you
is that
go
on
to the coaching Special Olympics athletes, this is on the coach education page of the coaching resource page. But basically the coach sends a message to coaches@somd.org, and we will Dottie Rush from our office will issue a license code, and we'll send that the information with a handout, so the person can do it. Do need to advise folks that setup, we're still utilizing the human kinetics kind of carryover. It's not on their main page, but anything with that, any of those courses are going to go away completely on October 31st. That'll be after the Fall Sports Festival, but our agreement, Maryland's specific or special agreement with them, was that they'd keep it live until October 31st. By that time, hopefully with SO Learn being relaunched, the Special Olympics hosted version of that course will be available. If it's not, we'll figure something else out. But at this point, we're optimistic that will happen, and also very glad that we were prudent and secured the 150 licenses so our folks can take the course still.
Okay, so then, all right. I'm looking at that. I wish this SO Learn thing was working because so the concussion course is also through them, which is also shut down. What is there also a backup to that? Can we use a
Yes,
lot
there
of
is. Yes, there
Okay.
is. Yep,
and where is that? I'm looking at this. I'm
it's
on here.
not on there yet. That's
Oh,
we
got it.
our expectation was that SO Learn would be fully functional until August 1, and then we were going to and we would have that in there, the alternatives there. Given that there are challenges right now with it, we'll see about getting those alternatives posted. Basically for concussion, it's going to the National Federation of High School Sports, not going to the CDC. The CDC site is painful at best
Yeah,
at this
I was
point
just
to
gonna-
take that course.
I was just going to
Yeah.
ask that because that's a lot of our coaches already have that because we have to do that one at the schools in the school system that we have to do that concussion one. So
If they can send their certificate with a date on it, that's great. We'll take it. They don't have to do it again.
okay, great.
Unless it's
And-
been 3 years, unless it's been more than 3 years. Yeah.
Right. And what about the NFHS also has that Special Olympics course is unified sports. I know it's technically towards
Correct.
IS, but is that also something that they could do for the coaching credentials? Or is
So
that totally different?
So they could take that to renew and
Okay,
extend their
renew.
certification for 3
Okay.
years.
Okay.
They could
But
do
then
it in
you-
place of coaching Special Olympics athletes if everything that they're doing is unified. But if it's not the case, they still need to take CSOA. But a lot of coaches who have taken CSOA and have some unified participants take coaching unified sports, and that serves to extend their certifications by 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Good questions. And I'm sorry that the SO Learn apparently is not taking any new customers at the moment. So, but we'll get that. We'll get the alternative posted up there no later than tomorrow morning.
think with that, Jake, if you want to just, we can show the additional slides here as resources. We're not going to go through these, but just so you're aware that they're here for you to take a look at, to use as resources. And Jake, you can just flip through all these real quick. While Jake's flipping through all of these, a few things I'll point out here is the codes of conduct are there. We have them for athletes, unified teammates, coaches, family members, volunteers, etc. These are just particular excerpts of those. The full codes of conduct are located on our coaches resource page. One of the other things we always tell coaches to have with them on site in case emergency comes up is these medical forms, so that if there's a medical emergency, you have the information there with you for any athletes. As well as another form that's really good to have on hand as well is what we call our incident and accident report. When we get to that slide, I'll stop, Jake. That's another form that you will need to fill out in regards to there you go, Jake, if you can hang on right there. This is the form that you should also have. It's also located on our coaches resource page, but your area leadership have it as well. This is to be used to fill out if there was an injury to an individual, bodily injury. This can also be used if there's any injury or any accident or damage to property as well. So it's primarily filled out for medical emergencies, injury to a body. But I just want you guys to know as well that this can be used for damage to a property. We've had situations in the past where a piece of equipment actually broke or accidentally broke a window, or there was damage to a venue that you're utilizing for your practices. This can help from the insurance perspective and the coverage there. So just want to make sure everyone's aware of that. And then Jake, you can continue moving on with the rest of the information here. Again, those are all parts of the coach's resource page and part of the slide deck that will be sent out to you guys. And if I don't have any other questions, I'll do my thank you. And then Mike and Jake, if you want to chime in as well. But on behalf of Special Olympics Maryland and our leadership and our president and CEO, Jim Schmutz, we thank you guys as coaches, as area leadership, as volunteers, etc., for everything you're doing there locally to provide the assistance and the training for the athletes and unified teammates. We understand there's a lot of dedication, and without you guys providing that direction and leadership to the athletes, that Special Olympics competitions for tennis and other sports for that matter don't happen. So on behalf of us, we really, really do appreciate all of your time and effort and support to Special Olympics Maryland and to your local programs and the athletes and teammates there. Mike?
Just to echo your appreciation to everyone here, everyone who's with us this evening, as well as anyone who's listening to this after tonight's session. We appreciate all you're doing, and tennis is a great sport, and we know your athletes will be very well prepared when they join us at the state competition at the Fall Sports Festival on October 19th. So thank you much, and we look forward to seeing you all around.
Yes, thank you all. Look forward to a great season with you all, and thank you for joining tonight. I will be sending out this information tomorrow.
Thank you guys so much. I know that Nancy and I were the only coaches on tonight, but I know that this will reach other people, hopefully. That's all I saw on my phone because I was having technical difficulties. But thank you guys for organizing this. Look forward to working with you, Jake, because this is your first year with some of the fabulous tennis coaches we have in the state. And then you tell Jeff Abel that I missed him tonight. I wanted to see him tonight. You tell him.
Yeah, he was hoping to be here, but had something come up. So, and
Yeah.
Shelley Bogaski did join us.
Sorry.
I didn't see her on the. Oh, there she is. Sorry, there
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, sorry, I joined late. I was like, oh God, I was having dinner. I was like, oops.
Hi, Shelley.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah, a well-rounded dinner includes a webinar, Shelley. You should know that.
You know, normally I take it to my